Hello, everybody. Angela L. Todd back here coming at you from the corner of my bedroom. Your all-time favorite archivist, historian, and activist. And I'm here today to talk to you about all the great reasons to use oral history, to embark on an oral history project. So it took me a minute to get my tie straight here. I'm going to wait a minute to see if anybody pops on to join me. Tie straight. Yep, not bad. Not bad. My dad taught me how to tie a tie. You loop it over once, and it's one kind of knot. You loop it over twice, and it's a different kind of knot. Well, I think of him every time I wear a tie, which is more often than you might think. Okay, so again, hello. I'm here to talk about all the reasons that it's so great to use oral history. So the first one for me, I have a little list. The first one for me is that some stories, this to me is the most important reason to embark on an oral history. Some stories are only available through oral history. So I have a client who told me the story of meeting her birth mother, for example. And, they have a picture taken together, some form of evidence that shows that they had some time together, and they may have written a letter or two, whatever. But without the oral history witnessing and testimonial to point us in the direction of finding that, we would never, oh, thank you, Wanda, we'd never know to go look for it. So many stories really are only knowable through oral history. Some stories really won't have evidence. And I realized making this list that I have two clients that had 3 daughters. And one told me great stories about taking his daughters to the lake nearby, 3 girls. And another told me a great story about taking his 3 daughters to Shakespeare festivals, 3 girls. So, the emotions and the excitement and the buildup and the, sort of the process and going home and talking about it, those are all things that can really only be shared through oral history. So, and also I want to say that some really important things have come to light because of community oral histories. And so the Underground Railroad is one. I had no idea the Underground Railroad went as far as Aroostook County up in northern Maine, till I heard the stories coming through my family. I'm not the first person to go look for that evidence, but there was a first person sometime along the way. But I did go to see, what are they, really? And yes, it's really there. Sally Hemings, her children with Thomas Jefferson, was it? Again, only through oral history coming down through a community. Ooh, Patrice is here. Hi, Patrice. So my number one reason to do oral history is because many stories are only knowable in the telling of them. They may have no evidence. They may have evidence that's hidden that you won't look for until you hear the story, especially if you hear it repeated through generations or through across a geographic area. Oh, thank you, Patrice. And Patrice, I talked about a client meeting her birth mother, a client taking his 3 kids, his 3 daughters to an event, Underground Railroad, Sally Hemings. The second thing about oral history is it is so easy. Yes, it is so easy to sit and tell a story, to sit and listen to a story. I'm not asking all of us to go to libraries and get in the dusty books and the dusty, lonely archives. It's so easy to sit and tell a story, to tell your story, or to ask someone their story. Oral history is so easy. Oh, and the third thing about oral history is, especially if you have an elder whose stuff is going to be your stuff eventually, oral history gives context to everything. So even if it's, down the road that you'll need to know that information. If you've sat and done an oral history, or if you've listened in on an oral history, you'll know more likely who the people are on the photographs, why they say this tchotchke, who the letter is to George, why this happened, who they want things to go to. A good oral history gives context to everything else, the letters, the photos, the furniture, even if you have that kind of questioning. And the other thing about oral history is it can be done long distance. So we're in a moment of social distancing, and oral history is a great thing that we can do without touching each other or coughing on each other. I've got packages, of course, but this is a great time to call and link up with your loved ones and get their stories. I do, of course, invite you to reach out to me, Angela at angelaltodd.com, if you'd like to, undergo an oral history project. I can have all the audios transcribed and make a nice little package to give back to you. Oh, Kelly Murphy's here. Hi, Kelly. So the other thing about oral history, which I don't have on my list, but when I was talking, I remembered it. It's a great way to cut through family bullshit. I said it. So I have had some clients that are like, oh, hi, Kelly. I can't listen to Daddy's stories one more time. Oh, my mother's, overcome with guilt over this thing, or this one whines too much, or whatever. Oral history with a stranger is a great way to cut through all of that. None of that comes across to the interviewer when it's not a family member. So it's easy to do, click and talk, cut through the drama, find out all the stories that either don't have evidence or you wouldn't find the evidence easily, and it'll give you a great context for all the pictures that they have and maybe some paperwork that they leave to you. Okay, I think that's it for today. I've had a long, awesome, exciting day at a business networking intensive virtually, and so I'm a little later than usual, but I invite you to think about oral history. Thank you, and good night. Be safe, be distant, be well.